cuttings for this flower was the roots are looking really long and good. This can focus. So I will just place it with this plant. Okay, where is my... Sorry. I'm thinking it's two, so one on either side. I just noticed it right now, and if I'm not doing it right now, I'm going to forget it, and they're going to get really, really, really long. Let's try again. Come on. So I think that will work. It's not that big, but I mean it will grow. It's quite fast grower, this one, so it's very easy. I have no idea what it's called in English. In English, it's not one of those plants that people grow there. I know in Sweden it's very popular. Like if you just go past the building and watch what people have in their windows, it's usually this. And in Swedish or in English, the word means palette, like palette knife or palette like thing you put color on, which I think is funny. Someone who likes painting, but it's very colorful, so it might have to do with that. I have a very chunky soil underneath, which is why it was difficult to dig through it. Quite a bit better today. Yesterday was crap. Just a very, very weird day. At the same time, I was like having a lot of energy and like doing stuff and like, oh, I need to place this here and then do this, and oh, I realized this, and which could be like ADHD, and I was like thinking, is this the start of another hypomanic episode? But I was also thinking a lot about like stuff I've gone through and like my history with mental illness, which is very long, and there's a lot of like shame involved, and I became quite low after it, because in a lot of ways I feel like it ruined a lot of years, like a lot of years. So it wasn't a good day. So after like the anxiety and like that, I have this. I'm going to go and get, and it's a thing that's not very me, I would say, but the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit Guidebook, and in theory it's similar to tarot, and I really don't do tarot. I'm very like science-based. I believe in that sort of thing mostly, and like if you believe in that, that's you do you very much. But like that's not me. But I bought this because I saw it, and the cards are gorgeous. The artwork is gorgeous. It's instead of like this imagery of like this symbol of something, it's an animal that represents something. And so there was that part of me that liked it, the animal part. I love animals, and it was the idea of supporting the artist who had done this thing that I thought was very gorgeous, and it's also very based in like yoga, which was something I did a lot during that time, which I can't really do a lot anymore. The thing I do is mostly like what is known as medical yoga. So I did that, and I do it so I can find like one thing and like focus on it afterwards, because like my brain is like everywhere in like the combination of like anxiety and my ADHD, and it makes it like focus on this one thing and like think about that specifically until I feel done. So yeah, that was that. Yeah, it felt a lot better. Now it's raining quite a lot. It's like I have my door close to the yard, and I can like hear the rain thundering on the stones. Yeah. So anyway, I thought I would talk about the book. The book I can't remember the name of, which is why I brought my computer, because as we talked about before, my brain is a sieve. I can start by saying that the foreword was, I heard it and I was like, oh my god, is it written like this? And I found out it wasn't actually written by the author, Sarr, but by Roberto Bolango. I have one book by him. So I was like, okay, so I have to go back to Roberto Bolango after this, so I will talk about that as well. So, the most secret memory of men. I do think the Swedish title is better. I do want to also read more by him. It says on Wikipedia under his career, on one of his books that seems like it hasn't been transcribed now. It says it's called transcribed, but like translated to English. He describes his life in a fictional Sahelian village under the control of Islamist Jihadi militia. Like, that's really interesting. I haven't read anything like that, so yeah. Okay, so this book, it's difficult to talk about because I read it in an audiobook, so now it's raining and sun, so somewhere there's a rainbow. I'm going to have to cut a lot of this, the publisher in Sweden wrote this about the book. It's a literary labyrinth, a grand journey through time and room, a playful but complex story of literature, history and love that takes place in the African diaspora in Paris. Like, that's really interesting, especially the part about the literary labyrinth. That is something I really like, especially relating to Borges. And in this book you can see that it takes place in Paris when the main character goes back to Senegal, but also in Argentine, we say Argentine, where one of the characters lives there, and it's a lot about like the Argentinian literary life and like authors like Borges and Bolango, so you can see a lot of influence on that literature in this book. But it starts with the main character who is a Senegalese man who lives in Paris, and he discovers this book about an author and also Senegalese author called T.C. Eliman, nicknamed the Black Rambo. Arthur Rimbaud. I hate it when people say Rambo. Anyhow, like, that's a very short synopsis. I don't like that. But like, that's the start of it. He hears of this book, and you can very much say he becomes obsessed. And like, that's the literary journey. He wants to know more about the book, about the author, about Eliman, because he goes to the archives and can't find anything about him. So like, why is he like unknown? Why can't he find anything about it? So it is very much a journey, but I would also say this was one of the main reasons why I loved it so much. It's a book in very many styles, but the styles, it's like one chunk in this style, one chunk in this. So there's this part that is almost like I don't want to see thriller, but like Agatha Christie, like mystery novel. Yeah, that's the word I'm thinking of. Trying to search for clues and like people to interview and like find the thing that makes him come forward in his journey. But the Swedish premise had the focus on the love aspect. I don't, as a woman, I would say it's not very well written. I don't think it was like romantic or like. I think there are parts where he is very obviously a man, the whole man gazy thing, where you can actually see it in a book, which is weird. There's a woman looking at a woman's body through that lens, and this woman who is supposedly very like, she has like this free lifestyles, like libertine, very open in her life, and it makes, she writes a book about it. But there's just one scene where she looks at a woman's body through it and like, okay, why doesn't she ever does this to a man? Because she is obviously bisexual. But when it comes to like the different like chunks I see, I also see like I don't know what to call it. I was thinking about it while listening to it, but it's almost like you can see a sort of magical realist, you can see it like mystical, you can see it like almost like horror, very frightening. Like I was listening to this like 2 at night, and I found it very like, okay, I would like to turn my lights on, because like if I see a shadow it would be frightening. So that was very well done. Let's see, what else was it? Okay, so I'm remembering now. He comes back, this is a spoiler, but after everything he comes back to Senegal. But anyhow, he comes back to Senegal and there's an uprising because a woman has taken her life as an act of like, what's it called in English? A martyr, something like that, martyrdom. Anyhow, you probably understand it. So people are uprising, and so after that it becomes a good portion of like political intrigue, and like he has friends who is in this group that are part of the uprising and sort of leading it, as I understand. And there was part that I didn't understand, but I found this like, okay, we jump to another thing and we jump to another thing, very interesting, very affected. But I think it means that a lot of other people wouldn't like it, And then we get to a part, like, also spoilers, we get to a part from Eliman's perspective, which I would see as another chunk. We have a lot of different people's perspective in this story, not just the main character. Like, when he interviews people, the story is from their perspective, and I think it's very well done. I think it's very believable. We can sense that it is another person, and yeah, I very much love that. Like, as someone listening to it, it became a bit confusing at times, but like, I came into it. Like, I loved it a lot. Oh, I remembered. There's a lot in this book that is quite meta. It is about the literary world. It is about like how the literary world hopefully perceived an African writer, like publishing a book in France. Like, this writer Eliman, people said he couldn't have written this book. It had to have been a white writer, like things like that. And it's very interesting because I very much see that as a critique of the literary industry, and like, not even the literary industry, the media. The main character himself is a writer. One of the person that he goes to interview, that I mentioned, she is a writer. I would say like majority of the characters are authors. So it is a novel centered on writing, even though it isn't the main like plot. Like, as a white writer, I will like view how media, God, how will I phrase this? How media writes about a black author. So when it comes to like the small like flaws of the book, so hi again, different day, same outfit. My camera battery ran out, so I will have to finish this today. And this is difficult with memory issues. Try to remember what I said yesterday. So I was talking about what I saw as the flaws in the book. So as I mentioned, some of them was relating to like characterization, and this was like very small. Like, the main characterization in this book is flawless. Okay, so maybe not flawless then. Exquisite, we say that. Towards the ending, he has the relationship he had with the woman. They come back together, and I found that his characterizations in, if I remember correctly, in those letters, was it letters? Are way off. I can't feel that it's him as a character writing that. And I was like, it pulled me out of the story very much. Anyhow, that's one example. And then it was like Okay, I need to think something food. I have some peanut butter and apple here. Very bad food for talking. My cat is playing with, oh, just a rug. I walked there, it's like a couple of, I was going to say a couple of kilometers, but definitely not that. It's quite close. So like 400 meters, no, I can't do numbers. Anyhow, very close. So I walked there with my shopping trolley, I had my cane and took the bus back. I went to Lidl, good prices. So yeah, that's what I have done today. Yesterday I found out I got an earlier appointment with the chiropractor because I booked one at another clinic that was at the end of August, and I will start working again from the like 4th of September, so that was very bad, like that wouldn't have been very good for me. But on my clinic the chiropractor was back, so I could get an appointment the 9th, so I was very relieved about that. I also was doing some other like medical admin and was trying to get in contact with my health clinic, book a time slot for my perioral dermatitis have come back, which is like inflammatory, like similar to like eczema, rosacea, acne. It looks similar to all of these 3 things, and it's like mainly around the mouth. And it has come back. I realized that it wasn't like irritations from the product I'm using because my skin is very sensitive. They didn't have any times because, yeah, summer, and they recommended me to book a time on the video like app, so I got a cream for it. So yeah, I'm happy about it. It will take like a long time to help the condition, but yeah, it would be nice if some part of my body could just cope and like function as it should be. And now when I came back, very bad apples. I got time for at the, no, it is affective disorders clinic, the one I called. It isn't the ADHD clinic. They must have called back. Did the ADHD clinic say she's a bad patient, she doesn't answer her phone? I feel like they said that. Anyhow, I got a time at the 8th of September. So excited about that. And I will obviously have to fill in a lot of like those, what are they called in English, like forms, like oh god, I filled in so many forms of like for like different disorders and like different part of my life, how I'm coping with it, like both mainly like regarding like my mental health, but also regarding pain and how it affects my life. So yeah, we'll have to do that. We'll have to take blood. So this was interesting. It says like foundation. God, why am I speaking English today when it's not happening? Anyhow, it says as a new patient at adult psychiatry in Stockholm, you have to do a... Anyhow, it explains how in this together we look at your issues that you want help with, your life situation and the background to your problems. That's very good, but like it's and it explains like those forms you have to fill in, interviews in two parts. One part you have to answer questions about your background, your illness history, like your life situation. Interview is adapted to the problems that are relevant to just you. In the other part, you have to answer questions about the different psychiatric symptoms that are questions adequate to the manual. And I know that isn't all, but it is frustrating as someone who has been in the psychiatric world since I was 15, and I'm not just like, yeah, I've talked to a therapist for years, like I mean like seriously. I've been on so many medications. I've been on like I went to like in therapy, what is it called in English? DBT therapy for like, you're talking like serious mental illness here. And then I went back like 4 years ago for like depression again. And then like it's frustrating because like my psychiatric illness has been so much of me, it has taken so much. So I'm sort of sick of it. Because I also have this other difficult thing now with pain and fatigue and like, yeah, we'll see. Now I will eat my apple and peanut butter, then I will go and buy my medications, which I forgot to buy on the way home, and relax.